Question 8 on the 3-5 test, or question 1 on the 4-6 test. In a survey, people were asked, how good is your doctor? The pie chart shows the results. In part A, it says about what percentage of the people said satisfactory. If we look at the key over here, satisfactory is the bit that's completely white. And in the pie chart, that's this half of it here. And half of something is 50%. You can also have anything from 49 to 53, but really you should be looking at putting 50% as your answer. In part B, it says altogether, about what percentage of the people said poor or very poor. Well, poor is this shaded bit here. But we're also going to add to that the bit that's very poor that looks like this bit here. And if we coloured in all that, you should be able to see that that's pretty much a quarter of the pie chart. And a quarter of something is 25%. You can have any answer here between 23 and 27 and still get the marks though. In part C, it says give one reason why a person may say don't know. Now there's lots and lots of different things you could put here. I'll give some examples. You could say they might think their doctor's treatment is sometimes very good but not at other times. They might not think that any of the possible answers is what they think, so they might not want to choose any of these. They might not have a doctor, they might not want to comment, they could be worried about giving an opinion, they might have only ever had one doctor, or they might not always see the same doctor. So I'll put that last one, but you could have put any of those. Question 9 on the 3-5 test, question 2 on the 4-6 test. Fill in the boxes to complete each number chain. Use any of the following. So we've got add 10, subtract 10, times 10 and divide by 10. We're starting off here with 450 and we need to get to 45. So it's getting smaller, so that should tell you that it's either going to be divide 10 or subtract 10. And if we want to get rid of this 0, well, whenever we divide any whole number with a 0 on the end by 10, it's going to remove that 0. So here we want divided by 10, because 450 divided by 10 gives us 45. Here we start with 450 and we want to get to 35. Well, if we made it 10 times smaller by dividing by 10, that would get us to 45 just here. And then to get us down to 35, we need to subtract 10. If you don't spot it straight away, the best thing you can do is a bit of trial and error. Try something. If it doesn't work, try something else. There's not that many possibilities with the numbers up here. To get from 450 to 46, well, we've obviously got to make it smaller. So let's try dividing by 10 to start with. If we did that, we'd get 45, and then there's no way to get to 46 using the things up here, so that would be a bad idea. Okay, like I said though, use trial and error. So let's try something different. Let's add 10. That gets us to 460. And that's good, because now to get from 460 to 46, all we need to do is divide by 10. Question 10 on the 3-5 test, or question 3 on the 4-6 test. Samir has a piece of card that is grey on one side and white on the other. He cuts out this shape from the card. He turns over the shape so that the white side is showing. Okay, that's a key bit that some people sometimes miss on this question, that he turns the shape over so the white side is showing. Tick all of the shapes below to show the white side of Samir's shape. Well, what I'm going to do, I'm going to take this shape here, and then I'm going to say, can I make it fit onto any of these shapes? Well, we can see clearly it fits nicely onto that first one, so we'll tick that. To test this second one, we're going to need to rotate it round. Doesn't fit onto that one properly. Fits onto that one nicely. Doesn't fit onto that one very well. Doesn't fit onto that one properly. But it does fit onto that one. So the three shapes we want are top left, top right and bottom right. Question 11 on the 3-5 test. Question 4 on the 4-6 test. Write in the missing numbers. So we're starting at -3 and we want to get to -1. Well, we're going right on the number line, so that's adding. So we need to see how many do we need to add. Well, we go -2 and then -1. We're adding 2 there. And then we need to get from -1 to 7. Well, if we add 1, that would get us to 0. And then we need to add another 7 to get to 7. So that means we need to add 8 in total. In the next part, we're starting from a number here and adding 7, and that gets us to 3. So we need to count back 7, and that would get us to -4. Then we can do the add 10 bit. If we start at -4 and add 10, count upon your fingers if you need to, that gets you to 6. Question 12 on the 3 to 5 test, question 5 on the 4 to 6 test. Look at these shaded shapes. So we've got A and B here. The area of shape A is 3 centimeters squared. What is the area of shape B? Well, that's telling us that this diamond is worth 3 centimeters squared. It's also telling us if we had one of the triangles, that this triangle would be half of that, which is 1.5 centimeters squared. So what we're going to say now is how many of these two shapes here do we need to make this shape here? Well, this diamond here is going to make us 3. Then there's another diamond there, that would make us 3. And then we've got 1.5, 1.5, 1.5 and 1.5. It's always good to draw on your diagrams to help you with these kind of questions. So remember, each two 1.5s will make us 3 in total, so that would be 3 with those two. Then we use the other two, that would make us 6, and then 9, and then 12. So the area of shape B is 12 centimeters squared. In part B, it says, on the grid, draw a triangle that has an area of 6 centimeters squared. Well, that's either going to be 2 of these or 4 of these little triangles. Remember, you can always use trial and error a bit for this. If I go down here, and then across, and then back up, we would have 3 in this bit, 1.5 here, and 1.5 here. Altogether, that gives us 6 centimeters squared as required. Okay, if I'd not got it right first time, I could have just rubbed it out and tried again. Question 13 on the 3 to 5 test, or question 6 on the 4 to 6 test. Write the missing digits in each calculation below. The first one is done for you. So they've done 19 times 3 is 57. We want something times 3 is 51. Now if you remember, the opposite of multiplying by 3 is dividing by 3. I could do a simple calculation, a simple bus stop divide to work out what this number is going to be. 3's into 5 go 1 with 2 left over. 3's into 21 go 7, so that's 17. You could have also got that by trial and error. The next one you will need a bit of trial and error for. You've got something times 3 is 40 something. Well, one way is perhaps to guess this. For example, if I guess 12 times 3, that'll give me 36. So 12 is too small, so try something bigger. 13 times 3, that's 39, still too small. So 14 times 3 is obviously going to work. And if I do 14 times 3, use grid method if you need to. This is going to give me 14 times 3 equals 42 if I add the 2 bits in my grid. So that would work. You could also here have 15 times 3 is 45, or 16 times 3 equals 48. So there are 3 possible answers for this last part. Question 14 on the 3 to 5 test, or question 7 on the 4 to 6 test. Part A says, I started swimming at 9 AM. When I finished swimming, the minute hand of the clock had turned 360 degrees. What time did I finish swimming? Well, if we imagine that the minute hand goes all the way around 360 degrees, that's going to have moved it 60 minutes along, and the hour hand in that time will move around one space, so that would become 10 AM. Remember, it must be AM because it's 9 AM up here, look. In part B, I started walking at 3 PM. When I finished walking, the hour hand on the clock had turned 90 degrees. What time did I finish walking? Well, if you imagine this is the hour hand here, if that turns through 90 degrees, that's going to be pointing towards the 6, which implies that it's going to be 6 PM. Question 15 on the 3 to 5 test, question 8 on the 4 to 6 test. Look at this set of 4 number cards. The sum of these numbers is 80. Now look at the 2 sets of number cards below. Which set has a sum that is closer to 80? And we need to explain our answer. So I need to do 17 add 18 add 19 add 20. All of these numbers are quite close to 20. That one's 1 away, that one's 2 away, and that one's 3 away. So if I pretended these were all 20, that would be 20, 40, 60, 80, and then I take away the bits that I don't have, so that would be 79, 77, 74. So set A adds up to 74. I can use something very similar for set B. If I went 20, 40, 60, 80, that would be an underestimate. I'd need an extra 1 there, an extra 2 there, an extra 3 there, and an extra 4 there. So 4 plus 3 plus 2 plus 1, that's adding 10 on. So that would be equal to 90. So which is closer to 80? Well, set A is only 6 away, and set B is 10 away. So set A is closer than set B. This working out up here would be enough to get you the marks. However, if you wanted to be a bit more thorough, you could say set A is 6 from 80 and set B is 10 from 80. And that's a bit more of a clear explanation than just the working out up here. Question 16 on the 3-5 test, question 9 on the 4-6 test. Part A says a number chain starts 1, 2, 5. To find the next number, you use the rule multiply by 3 and then subtract 1. Write the next two numbers in the number chain. So if we look how it's working, 1 times 3, that's 3, take 1, 2. 2 times 3 would be 6, take 1 is 5. So we're going to do 5 times 3, which is 15. And then 15 take 1, which gives us 14 in here. The next part, we need to do 14 times 3. Use grid method if you need to, that's 42. And then 42 subtract 1 is 41. Remember, always do as much working out as you need to be comfortable to get the answer here. In part B, it says here is a different number chain, 3, 9, 27, 81. What could the rule be to find the next number? Because it's not going up by a constant amount each time, look here it's plus 6 and here it will be plus 18. So it's not going to work with an add, so next we need to look for a times. So we'd say, right, what do we need to times 3 by to get 9? Well, that's times 3. 9 to get 27, well that's times 3. And if you checked using grid multiplication, 27 times 3 is 81. So the rule is multiply by 3.